It is Halloween and it is the last day of the spooky season. Even though I do spooky stuff here all year round, but this was our month. Soon we'll have a new backdrop and things will be different. Hi, I'm Holliday, and this is Looking into Evil and a Drink. We will be talking about something spooky today, like an actual, like something that's spooky, nothing with death. We will be talking about a haunting. We'll actually be talking about a doll. Not this doll, not this doll, but this doll. Norman the doll. We'll be talking about him today, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Where do I begin? We can start from the beginning where we do a little backstory about Norman. Norman is a doll that was given to a woman that was pregnant with twins. One of her twins were stillborn and it was her son. The daughter ended up living and the doll was then passed down to the daughter. The daughter went to an antique store and she decided that to drop off the doll, but the daughter decided to give a little backstory about the doll as well. The daughter told the antique owner that only sadness comes with the doll and that she believes that the doll is haunted and she doesn't want it anymore. So she decided to drop it off at the antique store, and the antique owner decided to lock the doll up in a brown cabinet and then put it into the antique store thinking that nobody would find it. Until one fateful day, two investigators actually ended up coming in to the antique store looking for something creepy. When I say investigators, I mean paranormal investigators. And the man of the pair said that a brown cabinet just was basically pulling him towards it. And he looked at it and saw that it had a latch, and the latch was broken off. So he had a pocket knife and he decided to shimmy the latch open, popped it open, and there was this doll inside. And his wife came over saying, like, what are you doing? Like, we're not supposed to be touching anything. Like, what are you doing? He was like, I saw this box and it was open and it had a latch and I just wanted to see what was in it. I was just so intrigued with it. And his wife saw the doll, and come to find out, his wife is a creepy doll collector. What are the odds? She's like, oh, I would love to have this doll. So they take the cabinet with the doll inside of it to the antique owner and say, hey, we would like to buy this, but we really want to buy what's inside of the cabinet. They open the cabinet and they bring the doll out, and the antique owner is in like shock. She's like, you want to buy this doll? And they're like, yeah, we really want to buy the doll, not the cabinet, but we'll buy both since I opened it up. And she decides to tell them the story about the woman who was pregnant with twins, had a stillborn birth, and that only sadness travels with the doll and that it might be haunted. So they're like, oh, well, that's fine. It doesn't matter. We just really want the doll. Even though, like you're saying, they're giving us this warning, we would really just like the doll. So they end up buying the doll. They take it home and they put it on their shelf with all these other weird dolls that they have. And they're like, oh, he needs a name. And the husband comes up with a name, Norman, neither man or doll. That was his reason for calling the doll Norman. The first day that Norman moves in, activity happens that night at 4 a.m. in the morning. They hear a loud bang on their front door, but it comes a row of three knocks. Like 1, 2, 3. Pause, 1, 2, 3. And if you don't know, three knocks is the mock of the Trinity. The Trinity is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Remember, they're both investigators. They know, like, the husband is like, oh, this is weird. Let me just go check the house. So he goes to check the house and he opens the front door. And I personally believe that it was knocking on the door in a line in rows of three, mocking the Trinity to try to get into the house. And him opening the door basically let it in. That's how I personally see it. He basically let it in, and his wife comes downstairs and is like, oh, who was at the door? it's 4 a.m. And he's like, oh, maybe it was some neighborhood kids. And she's like, at 4 a.m.? Does that sound smart? Really? Come on. No. So he's like, oh, it was nothing. Let's just go back to bed. So they decide from that point forward, they're going to put cameras all around the house and in the outside of the house, except they have a daughter that lives with them, and they put cameras all around the house except her room and shower. So what happens is the next couple of days go by and the daughter starts to have activity happening around her. She says that she feels like somebody's watching her when she gets in the shower. She actually felt as if she saw somebody standing outside of her shower door. And at this moment, when she feels like she sees it, she screams. And her mother comes running in, like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? And she's like, Mom, somebody was standing right here in front of my shower door. I'm telling you, her mom's like, nobody's here. You're like, Dad's not here. Nobody's here. What are you talking about? And she's like, I'm telling you, it's something in this house. And I'm telling you, it happened right after you got that doll. And the mom is like, no, no, I think you're just like, you're you're just seeing things. It's okay. We'll figure this out, right? So what happens is the following night, the daughter feels somebody or something pulling her sheets. And she wakes up and she pulls them back, but then something is still pulling her sheets off of her bed. And then after that, she starts to feel a weight on her bed as if somebody's crawling into the bed with her. Oh shit, dog. Oh, what a freaked out. So she freaks out, as you think, and she yells and screams at her mother and father come in, and they're like, what's going on? She's like, Mom, somebody is pulling the sheets off my bed. I'm telling you, I feel it happening. I woke up to somebody pulling them off. And her stepdad is like, no, nobody's in the house. She was like, I'm telling you, I felt a weight being on my bed. Somebody is in here. Somebody's in here. He was like, no, no, no. We put cameras around the house. Nobody's in the house. I'm telling you, nobody's in the house. And she's like, it's that damn doll. That's what she says. It's that damn doll. That doll is what's the problem in here. We didn't start to have activity until y'all brought home that damn doll. And their mother and father looks at each other like, oh, you're just, you're just it's not that. It has to be something else. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. So the daughter ends up going to stay at her older brother and sister's houses for a couple of weeks just to like cool things down around the house because I mean, I'm pretty sure she's upset with her parents. I mean, I would be upset too. Like, I'm telling my mom and dad that something's happening and you guys aren't believing me. What do I have to do for y'all to believe me? So, she decides to leave for a couple of days to keep the peace, I guess, in the house. So, as I said, they have cameras in the house. And one day, the husband decides to watch his step grandchildren since he works from home one day. And when his grandchildren come over, they're immediately drawn to Norman. And the youngest grandchild is like, hey, I think Norman would like to watch TV with us. And he's like, grandfather's like, oh, okay, sure. So they prop him up in pillows so they can keep him propped up. Prop him up in pillows. The other grandchild decides to play on her tablet. She's not worried about Norman, but the youngest boy is. So he's playing with Norman and everything. And it's this moment where he stops playing with Norman and he starts to watch TV. And then he stops watching TV and then stares at Norman. And you see the doll's head turn and look at the grandfather. And then it turns back to the young boy. I'm going to put a warning because I am going to play the video. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty damn disturbing. It comes out later that this doll cannot move its head back and forth. It's one of those dolls that's like connected with stuffing. Like when remember when we was little, we had those little baby dolls when the head didn't turn or nothing. It was just connected and sewn on to the body or whatever. Yeah, this is what that doll is, and it doesn't. The head doesn't move at all. Nothing. So the kids get freaked out, and he's like, and the grandfather's like, "What? What's going on?" They're like, "Norman moved. Norman moved. He moved his head." And the grandfather's like, "Oh, you guys are lying. Here they go, not believing shit again. They're like, oh, you're lying, whatever. Now, if I look at these cameras, because remember, they have cameras in the house. So he's like, if I look at the cameras and you're lying, we're going to have to talk to your parents. And they're like, go, look at the cameras. We don't care. Look at them. So the grandfather looks at the cameras. And what do you think he sees? He sees this goddamn doll's head moving back and forth, looking at him, looking at the kids. And then he just gets silent. He looks at the kids and then he says, okay, well, it's enough of us being in this room. And then he tells his wife later, and his wife is like, what? No, you're lying. So then he plays the tape for his wife. And she's like, oh, shit. And this is one day where the daughter is actually, I think, there just to spend time with her parents. And she sees the tape and she was like, see, I told you something was wrong with this doll. You guys aren't listening. You're keeping the doll and it's making the house this weird, scary place to be in, and it's not right. So since they caught this on film, they decided to call another friend that's an investigator to get him on it because, he doesn't know anything about this doll. And they're like, hey, would you like to investigate the doll for us? So they pack Norman up. They take him to a hotel room, I guess, to keep out variables. And so energy wouldn't manifest inside the house. But I feel as though energy has already been manifesting inside the house. If he's been, I don't know, pulling covers, turning heads on dolls that don't move, aren't supposed to move, whatever. So they take him to the hotel room and they start to provoke Norman. They like ask Norman, what do you want to happen to the investigators? And they use a spirit box. And what a spirit box is, a communication device that sweeps through radio stations at a rapid pace to try to catch EVPs and ghost talking. And the box ends up saying die about the male investigator that owns the house. And he's like, okay. So then they ask Norman, turn on the light. He doesn't turn on. He says, can't. And they ask, why can't you? He doesn't answer. They was like, okay, well, why don't you do something to make us feel as though you're here? And Norman, supposedly, they believe that the ghost Norman, the doll, ends up making these loud 3 bangs outside the doorway. And remember, they're in a hotel room, so they think like, oh, it's just people, there's people. The wife gets up, she checks the door outside the hotel room, and nobody's in the hallway. And I personally feel as though, it's a hotel room, whatever. There can be sound, but I guess this time they probably were doing this investigation like really late in the night, probably 3, 4 in the morning when nobody is up. So then after that, they start to provoke Norman because come to find out, Norman, the doll that they had actually was in a house fire before, but he made it out. The investigator fixed the lighter and put fire to Norman's face, and the spirit box says, don't. She It's time to pack everything up and let's go, because obviously it knows what's going on. It's obviously an intelligent spirit. Let's leave it alone. See, this is why you don't knock on doors that you don't know the answer to. Stop. Just stop. So now that they figured out that Norman is haunted and that he is this spirit in a doll, they decide that, we're going to give Norman away to a woman that collects haunted dolls. And they pack him up, really secure him in this box, and they take him to the post office, and he's on his way, right? He's on his way. 2 days later, they hear this big knock at the door, and it's just the box that says return to sender on the box. They contact the woman that they were supposed to sell it to, and she says she's never received it or anything. And they open the box, and guess who's in there? Norman. Norman is inside the box, and the investigators get very furious because at this point they're trying to just like be done with it. And the husband gets very furious, and he decides to take Norman out the box, wraps his hands around Norman's neck, and starts to yell, "We don't want you here! We don't want you here!" And then he starts to have a damn heart attack. I'm sorry if you hear a bell, it's my cat. He starts to have a heart attack, and they rush him to the emergency room. Thank God he's alive. He survives the heart attack, and he's like, oh my God, is this doll this powerful? And he gets out, and then I think like about a week later, Hurricane Matthew comes, which is in 2017, and they're scared because supposedly with spirits, with storms, and when there's lightning, the air becomes electrified, which can give spirits more energy. So they're worried that Hurricane Matthew is going to give Norman all this power to do something. He was able to give him a heart attack without the storm. What can he do now, right? So they put Norman aside. They watch him. They put candles around him, religious items and everything just to try to, calm it down. And they hear, when they're home, they hear this loud bang upstairs. And husband's like, oh, I need to go check that out. And she was like, you're not leaving me alone with this doll. You're not. I'm going with you. So she goes with him upstairs. He's checking out everything. She checks out one room, and it's this one room with a mirror. And she's looking around. She sees that, and then she turns around and she looks into the mirror, and there's this black, huge figure in the mirror staring back at her, and she screams so loud that her husband comes. And he's like, what? She was like, Norman was in the mirror. Like, he was like, what? She was like, he manifested into a big black figure inside the mirror. He's here. Like, he's here. Like, we need to figure out what we're going to do to stop this bullshit. And he's like, okay, I believe you. They don't decide or anything to give Norman away. They decide to keep Norman. You heard me. They decide to keep Norman. They give him a room. They lock the room up. They, like, when I say they give him a room, they give him a room. They put toys in there, sheets, pillows, prop him on the pillow, and they go out and they lock the room. They put a padlock on it, like padlock, and nobody's allowed to go in this room. And they decided, and they came up with a theory that Norman was the child that was a stillborn that went into the doll and grew up watching other people grow up, and all he wants is a family and a mother to grow up with. So they decide to give this doll his own room, lock it up. Even the daughter okays it, which is weird. And they say that sometimes when they pass the room, they hear like little giggles, childlike giggles. They hear little footprints on the ground and noises coming from the room as if he's playing in there. But they just don't go inside. But they said that from doing that has stopped a lot of the activity that was going on. And when I was looking at this, I was like, y'all gotta be shitting me. If it was me, I would have took Norman, put him in a box, put a cross on it, and then I would have hand delivered him to the woman. I wouldn't keep a haunted doll in my house in a locked up room. First of all, you're taking up a whole room, buddy. But I personally wouldn't. I personally wouldn't do that because I just wouldn't do that. No. Especially if my daughter said that she's not comfortable, no. But come to find out, the daughter says later that, Norman is just now part of the family. He's now just part of the house. He wouldn't be part of my house. But, whatever. And that is our story about Norman the doll. I hope that you enjoyed it. We will be back to our normal scheduled broadcast. We'll have a new backdrop, and we will be starting the bonsai tree Lego set. Yay! Also, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell for me. Please hit that bell for me so you can be notified whenever I post so you can watch. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.